the Rhythm Skydiving 401 app. Download it today.
First of all, thank you everybody for joining me. It's just really nice to see faces, you know? Really cool. And I appreciate there's different time zones and people from at all different time zones joining us. So that's really cool too. I'm looking forward to hearing feedback when this is done for what you like best, what you want to hear more of, and how I can make these better, because I think we'll be doing several of these in the future. What I really want to do is share with you the 401 app and things that I realized we put a lot of work into it. And even if you use it a bunch, there might be these little things that make it even more useful that you wouldn't know unless you were really, really looking into everything, or maybe if I told you. So here I am to tell you all those things. Okay, all right, cool. So I just want to make sure everybody can still hear me. So here I am, I'm on the app. And what I'm going to do is go through the different sections and talk about not every detail of every single section, but the things that I think that might be easy to miss, but that I think are really cool about the app. So I'm going to start with the basic section. And what I like best about the basic section, first of all, there's a number of articles and videos for people that are just starting out. There's stuff like the two-way formations, I think are pretty neat. These are the building blocks of all four-way, or really all every way, you know? So that's really cool. But what I like the best is the flashcards. And I'm gonna just load mine up. And these flashcards we have for every division. You can swipe through, practice to study, to learn the formations, but a few things that you might not have known. First of all, you can see the axes that the diagrams are drawn on. Those are really deliberate. And so every angle that we drew everybody at, every figurine at, is precisely the angle that you would expect to be in every formation. Also, if you look just below the D, that little green, I don't know if you probably can't tell what it is, but it's a key. That says who generally keys that formation. So there's little things in these diagrams that you might not otherwise know exist. The other thing I really like is that on the bottom here, you can click got it or not yet. So if I don't have it, I can click not yet. And what will happen is it will show that more often. Whereas if you click got it, it will show that less often. So it's a really cool way to make sure that you're getting the most out of the flashcards, and it continues to repeat to you more the things you don't know and less the things you do have well. Recently, if you haven't been here in a while, I added, and not that recently, actually a little while ago, but I added 8-way stuff. So there's a whole set of 8-way open flashcards and 8-way intermediate flashcards for those of you that are trying to learn that. Next, I'm going to show you the randoms and blocks section. Couple of things that are really cool. First of all, here are the randoms. You can see a video of us doing every random from a star, again with the angles really precise. I'm going to move on to the blocks and show you some other really cool features about this. So let's say, for example, oh no, I want to do this one. I'm picking block 6. And a couple of things that I think are really cool about this is look at these lines. These are very specific. And if you pay attention to them, they give you a frame of reference of where everyone should be at every point in the formation. So notice that blue and green, well, let me maybe take a step back and say that the color-coded helmets are deliberate and indicate the position. So yellow is tail, blue is inside center, green is outside center, and red is point. And so you can see that green and blue are on what would be the sort of x-axis line, the horizontal line, and the vertical line runs through yellow and red, which is point or tail. And this is very deliberate, and you can see how precise we are about this. And then as we move through it, you'll see that I can pause it. It'll actually play and pause as well. you can see the interpictures and exactly where we are at every moment along that way. And then again on the close. So the really cool thing here is when you're doing your own debriefing and looking at your own blocks, you can say, okay, this is how Rhythm's doing it. This is where they were relative to a fixed axis, and how are we doing the same thing? And if not, should we be? And who exactly is off? It's so easy, especially in the sky, for sort of, each person to sort of blame somebody else. But when you're able to draw lines like this and compare to a known like this, it becomes much clearer, where the opportunity for improvement is. A couple of the things that I think are really neat here are I can choose the speed from 1x, 3/4, half, or a third, so I can slow things down. I can even step through step by step. For those of us like me that are going to be super, super anal retentive about every little inch, you can watch every little inch one by one, The other thing, now here's a little super secret thing that I made kind of especially for our French friends and those who have mirrored continuity, is over on the right here. I can click, I get a mirror, and now I'm watching the 6 mirrored. Which, believe it or not, there's some people who do the blocks that way. And then lastly, I'm going to say when I get to the end, I think it's really cool to watch these verticals. And blocks that have verticals, you can see exactly what kind of levels we're taking. And I think that, we all know as soon as we start learning 4-way or any kind of FS stuff, how important the appropriate levels are. And so you want to really get a picture in your mind. And I know when I coach people, and I often have to remind people, I want you to take less levels. I want you to take less levels. And they think they are. When you take a look at this and compare your levels to what we're doing here, often it's at this moment that you can say, wow, okay, now I really see how close it should be. One more thing, I left it, but one more thing about this is you may also not know that there's a little share button in the upper right-hand corner. And you could actually share these videos with anyone else who has the app. So you could easily say, like, here's the one I'm looking at. I click share, send it to the person, and they can open it up in their app and take a look at it on their own device. And this works for anything on the app you can share with another device by simply clicking that share button in the upper right corner. One more thing I wanted to point out is that with the blocks, there's often different ways to do each block. And we went through the effort of doing it sort of, when usually there's sort of 2 standard ways. We went through the effort of doing both those standard ways. So you can see block 6, and typically there's a vertical and a flat or non-vertical way to do some of the blocks that are done vertically when done in an advanced way. So for instance, block 6, we have flat and vertical. So if you're a newer team, you might start out with the flat, and then as you get more advanced, you can move on to that vertical, and we're showing the video for both. Something else that's really neat is you can see our best of in-air examples. And what I like about that is mainly to kind of show you that these techniques work not only in the tunnel, but in the sky. Next, I'm going to move to the exit section. One thing I want to show you is the exit transition guide. There's a lot of teams that I work with, newer teams, that they want to know, what should I be exiting if all I have is sometimes for really beginner teams, a side body or a bow, or for other teams, I have a side body, a bow, and maybe their next exits are a stair step and a meeker. And we give suggested starting formations for every formation that you might not want to exit but transition to. So for instance, block random A, we would suggest exiting at H and then transitioning to the A. This is a great resource for new teams. Next, I'm going to talk about the exits. I think this is pretty straightforward here, but again, the cool thing is that we can get as slow as we want, stepping through every moment so that you can really see what it looks like in those critical moments right outside the door of the exit. Also, for all videos, I can take my finger and scroll across the bottom of the screen. That's what I'm doing right here. And it's a really nice way to use the video and get to the exact moment that's important to you. The next thing I think is really cool at the mock-up, this is something we use all the time. And honestly, the whole app, we as Rhythm in our own training use all the time. This is, I think, as useful to us as it is to sort of people we coach. And I'm going to show you these pictures at the mock-up. A lot of times, even the video of the exits are not necessarily totally obvious where exactly everybody is in the door and exactly where is everybody's foot in the door. And that's important for the exit to be successful. So what we do is we take people out and show you separate images from different angles that allow you to see for at each position exactly where is each person standing, exactly where is their right foot and their left foot and their right hand and their left hand, and where are the grips. And we think, you know, this is so helpful, again, for teams we're coaching to see, and even reminders of for ourselves. Next, I want to talk about the training videos. And first of all, I feel like it's funny because I started this as being, we were going to include training videos, and we added in new videos roughly every 1 or 2 months. We add in, you know, it could be about 10 or so new videos. While it says training, truly this is training videos, but also it will have competition videos. So it's fun to watch sort of us at our best, but also us doing some training stuff. You get a huge variety. There's just a ton of jumps here, and we're constantly adding to them. One of the neat things here is the search function. So if I want to see, for instance, a cue, I can click that, hit search, and then these are all the dives with cues. And it becomes pretty easy if I wanted to see a cue exit to search among these for a cue exit, right? Number 30, Q7P4, Sky 4-way. Oh, there's my cue exit I want to see Rhythm do. Of course, you'll see it in the exit section, but you can also see it as part of a dive. We come back and we watch our videos all the time. And what I like to do is I watch it. I watch my position, or if I'm watching somebody else's video, I watch my position as somebody else's video, and I try to imagine myself doing these moves, of course, right? But what a lot of people tell me is sometimes watching the video of say a top team like us can be fun, but it's so fast it's hard to get. And so that's where I think the speed is so cool, because now I can slow it down to 1/3 speed. And what that means is, you know, if we were doing a 26 average in the sky, now you're looking at an 8 average team pace, but doing it really, really well. So it's much easier to follow. All the technique is there, all the movements are there, and you can really understand what's going on at a pace that's digestible to you. Again, as always, you can pause, you can scroll through it with the bottom bar. You can step through every move. And I think this is just a really, really cool way to help you watch video, imagine yourself doing it, visualize, and use that as a tool to get better, especially right now when we sort of can't be jumping as much. I like to break down some movements in a dive that I might have trouble with. So if it's maybe block 14 and really watch that block 14 over and over again, see how it gets started, see how the people's bodies positions look in the move, and then try to imagine myself doing it the same way. Next, I'm going to move on to the dive timer. The dive timer is really cool. A couple things you might not have noticed, but I think should be relatively obvious. But what I'm going to do is I can take the working time and I can make it any working time I want. You know, in my example here, I'm going to make it 8 seconds. Also, I can enter in the dive, and I'm going to do, say, MF6, for example, and I hit done. So a couple things about the dive timer. Even though there's a start button on the bottom left corner, you can actually hit anywhere in the timer. And that was important to me because I don't want to have to look at my phone when I want to be watching a video and timing. And the same thing with my points. Even though it says point on the bottom right, I can keep hitting anywhere in the screen as long as I don't hit stop, and it will keep timing. And then only when I hit the specific stop spot will it actually stop. The neat thing here is that I can also, hold on, what I can also do is I can tap on a specific formation, and if I do that, it collapses that formation, and you can see all the reps of just that formation. I'm gonna reset it, give working time a little bit longer, and do it again. What you noticed was the gray is what happens after 35 seconds. I'm just gonna stop it here, but you can see again, if I wanna click on the M's, those are all my M times, both the lap and elapsed time. And if I had any out of time ones, you'd see them in gray. I wanna see all my block sixes, here's all my block sixes, the bottom and the top to build. Another cool thing about this is you can share it. So I click the share button, I can send it to in a lot of different formats. But let's say I'm gonna send it as a Gmail. And so I can send my coach, or I can send another teammate all of this data, and you can use it how you wish for your own analysis. We do this all the time where we time our videos, we take a look at our elapsed times and our lap times, and we get a sense of how we're doing compared to our own goals. Moving on, I'm gonna go to the dive generator. The dive generator is a super cool tool, and I wanna point out that I feel like it's really useful for two different things. It's really useful as a planner, and we absolutely use this to plan our own dives for our daily plan, but it's also useful as a visualization tool. So a lot of times I like to come up with a random draw and then visualize from that random draw so that I'm not, even if it's sort of subconsciously picking the same thing over and over again. And I don't know if you guys are like me, maybe there's a block that I'm working on. Let's say I'm working on block 6, and then I find myself visualizing block 6 over and over and over again, and you almost sort of, you don't give enough attention to everything else. So I hold myself accountable by doing a random draw to be visualizing not only the things that I kind of want to work on, but all of the things. That keeps me mentally current on all of my visualization. So to show how to use it, I pick a league, and you can see it goes from rookie to AAA. I pick a number of jumps, and in a training day, maybe there's 10, maybe there's 5 if you're repeating. Maybe you're going to the tunnel and you want to pick 20 or more. And it could be as simple as hitting generate, and I can hit share, and you can share the dives. Cool thing here is you can share it as a text, which will just have the letters and numbers, or you can share as a PDF for newer teams that want to see diagrams. Let's say I just want to see the diagrams. I can hit the little eyeball, and you can see all the diagrams as well. And again, I can hit share and share those. So it's cool to see that. Another thing that's really neat is this, if you look at the circle, the second from the right, if I like what I came up with, but I want to see just a different draw, I can click, 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 click. Okay, here's the draw that I actually want to do. Yeah. I can also say, okay, I like the draw, but let's say in number 2, rather than exit in O, I want to exit a different formation. Maybe I want to exit a 6. So I can tap on that O. I can delete the O and enter 6, hit done, and I fixed it there. And then I can send that out. Now here's some really cool stuff that you might miss, which is in our training, and as I coach other teams, a lot of times we like to train different formats of dives. So for instance, I like to train all randoms for a bit, or I want to train 3 blockers for a bit. And if we're focusing on that type of dive, I want to come up with dives that are just that. So up at the top row, you can see these circles. If I tap them, you get a random, tap again, that's a block. Tap again, that means it'll be empty. Tap again, that's open to anything. So let's say, for instance, I want all randoms. I would tap random, 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 hit generate, and now all of my dives are all randoms. It's really, really neat. I can go back and say, I actually want to see random, block, block. I'm going to open this up, random, block, block. And now I'm seeing it's all random, block, block. So let's say I want to do the AAA dive pool, but I want to just do 3 pointers because I still want to be just doing a random and a block. I can actually X all the other spots. And so these are from the AAA dive pool. You'll see that L3 is included as number 10, but it's only all 3 pointers. So in this way, I could limit the number of points, but still pick any dive pool I want. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is, let's say I have a set, I want to set up a set of dives, but I already know a few exits that I want to exit. I can click it here and do the same thing. So let's say, okay, I know I want an otherwise random draw, but I want to exit an E, I want to exit an M, I want to exit a 2, and I want to exit a 5. Hit done. Now I can hit generate, and now you can see E, M, 2, and 5 are those first points, and otherwise it's randomly pulled from the rest of the dive pool for the rest of the draw. So again, I just think this is super useful to us when we come up with our own training plans. It's super useful to me when I coach other teams. And then I love it for visualization. You know, one last thing here is you can see the little trash can in the bottom right. I hit the trash can, it wipes everything out. I can simply go back to generate. And now this is what I use when I'm doing my own visualization. It's either this or I watch video. So you guys all with me? So thank you, first of all, thanks again for joining me. And I've just gone over what I think are the most important and coolest parts of the tool. What I want to do now is look at the questions. There's been a number of text questions. So I am going to answer some of these questions now. Someone asked, on the timer, how do I interpret the lap and elapsed times? Okay, so the lap time is the actual time from the previous point to the next point, and the elapsed time is the total time. So in other words, right at 33 seconds, that might have been my elapsed time, but right at 33 seconds, if my lap time was 2 seconds for block 6, it took me 2 seconds to do block 6, 33 seconds into the dive. I hope, Bill, that answers your question well. Let's see. Why is it cool to watch the blocks on the vertical? Okay, so I think I answered this, but I'm just gonna say it again, is to me, I think it's really important to see the blocks from the vertical because it may not be totally obvious how we do the verticals. So I think when you see the video from the vertical, you can see who's going down and by how much, who's going up and by how much, and exactly what kind of levels there are. So to me, that's pretty much just as important as the technique looking at it from above. Someone else asked, where do all the names of blocks and randoms come from? That's a good question. I think the answer is just whoever makes up the block and random gets to name it. You know, you can submit a new block or random, and I think every 2 years or so they evaluate and they add a new block or random. So if you want, you know, the Dale, you know, you can go make the Dale, submit it, and if it's a fun enough block, it'll get accepted. And what happens is they'll get accepted just after a world meet, so that there's sort of the maximum amount of time for the next world meet. You know. Where do the blocks come from? Under training videos, can I put in Q2E and get dives with those in them? Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's really cool that you can search the dives. You can put in a formation, you know, the formation in the order, and it's gonna pop up with all of the times we did those dives. And you could do it for a whole dive, but you could also do it for a portion of a dive. The thing I like also, and I kind of started doing this sort of midway through the downloading of the videos, is I put more info in the name of a video than just the formations. So I put like whether it's training or competition, I put in the air or tunnel, and I put in even the competition name. So if you want to see the World Cup jumps, you could actually search World Cup in our training videos, and all of those will pop up. How do you change the speed that the block examples are playing in? This 1x, if I click on that, now I can pick a different speed, like I can look at it at 1/3 speed and hit play. And now this is happening at 1/3 speed. I can even hit these curvy arrows left and right and slowly click through it exactly at the rate that I want to see it. Painstakingly slow if I want. Oh, okay. Is it possible to get the flashcards to display numbers and letters instead of names? So the flashcards, what I have the flashcard. Let me open it back up. Okay, so here's the rookie flashcards, and it will show you the numbers and letters sometimes. So I actually have sort of, I think, 3 different formats of flashcards. I've got the letter, and it will show you the picture. I've got the picture, and it will show you the letter and the name. And then I've got the name, and it will show you the letter and the picture. So I think it was Keto who asked, could it just show me the letters and not the names? Well, it's not going to only show you that, but if you flip through the flashcards, you'll find those as well. So you can see here's a block, here's L. You want to remember what L is. You think about the answer, and then here's your answer. So there's actually 3 formats of flashcards, and one of them is just the letters and the numbers. Are you considering adding more 8-way tools? Yeah, I think so. Right now, the 8-way tools consist of flashcards and a continuity booklet, which I think is really good. Also, you may not know that in the exits, here's definitely a super secret thing about it, about the app, is if you go to the exit section and you scroll all the way down past block 22, there's an 8-way exit as well. Whoops. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, well, I'll have to update that, but there is an 8-way exit as well. So for you 8-way fans, and another bonus thing about 8-way. How much engineering do I put into each block? Well, I'll tell you, that's sort of an open-ended question, but we talk a lot about a technique. We've learned a lot from, I think, the best coaches and the most experienced people over the history of 4-way. We've taken what we understand to be the best practices, studied them ourselves, made our own little tweaks to what we think works best to us, and then that's what we do, And in every diagram and every block that we show video or diagrams of, I really put so much deliberateness into, and Jeanette worked a lot on these videos to make sure that you're seeing the very best example with everyone doing precisely what we coach. The cool thing there is there's no secrets. We show you what we do, and then we challenge you to just do that as well. Okay, well, the question is, the dive generator, can you share with non-subscribers? So yeah, absolutely you can. If I have the dive generator, and I've just generated this dive, and I click share, whether you share PDF or share text, let's say I'm sharing a PDF, all it's going to do is it's going to open up these different sort of other apps for communication. So yeah, you can send a Gmail of those dives, you can send a text of those dives, and someone doesn't need the app to do that. But also you might let them know that as a reminder, I think people know that there is a paid portion of this app, but there's so much stuff that's free. Just a reminder of the things that are free here. All of the basic section. There's an example of a random, an example of a block, an example of the exits. The exit transitions guide, that's free. There's always one training video, and as I update new videos, that gets updated and changed. So there's always one training video that's updated about once a month that's there for free. The timer is free. The dive generator is free. I really feel like the timer or dive generator themselves could be apps, standalone, and all that's free. So if you have a teammate who, is reluctant to get the app because they don't want to pay for it, but they love the dive generator, let them know that portion of it's for free, Use it all the time, not really a question, but more of a request. Have you thought about showing video from the inside of the plane? I've been very challenged trying to find out the IC or point moves, but the first half second is not really visible. So, okay, good question. Do I have video from inside the plane? What I found is that the video inside the plane, actually inside the plane, is pretty difficult to see. There's so much obscured. But I do have a couple of things that I think are really, really helpful. And if I go to the exit section, and I go to act the mockup, and then I click on the video here, you can see video of us from the mockup doing the move. And I know it's not exactly the same as the exit, but you can now see from inside the plane what we're trying to do. You can kind of see the move, you can see people's feet. And while it's not the exact same thing as from inside the plane, I feel like it's a really good starting point, at least for you. Someone asked, can you create only a 2-draw option for super basic training? I think you might mean 2 randoms. And yes, you absolutely can do that. So if I go to the generator and I want to do nothing but randoms, and I go back to the template, had nothing but randoms, and I X out everything but the first 2, and hit generate, this is a whole draw of just 2-point blocks. And while I don't often do 2-point dots, I don't often do that. Quite often I will do a point and a block. A random and a block. I'll have to choose intermediate and generate. And quite often for practice, people will do this. So it's the AA die pool, which would normally have 3 or 4 points, but because I've X'd out points 3, 4, and 5, it's all a random and a block. Are you going to do more Zoom sessions? Yeah, this is the first one. Man, I'm super excited about how many people showed up. Like I said, I really appreciate if you give me feedback. I'll take a look at these messages for sure. But also if you send me an email with what you thought worked well, maybe other content that you'd like to see. But I do have stuff already planned. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing 2 a week. And I say me, it's really Jeanette and me. 2 a week. And we're going to be talking about some high-level things like the fundamentals of 4-way, the fundamentals of exits, performance, how to perform at your best, and skills you can practice to do that. But we're also going to do more specific things as well, like specific exits, specific block technique. And a lot of that stuff will be open to everybody. And then some of that stuff we want to be open specifically to subscribers. So I'll communicate that more clearly. But hopefully you'll if you think about it this way of man, for what might be 6 hours, I don't know exactly what, but 6 hours of learning where we're going to talk through every single block, plus a year's subscription to the app for just $100. I hope you find that to be well worth the cost of the subscription. And if you already got the subscription, then the seminars are free. Thank you for your time, everybody. I hope you stay safe and healthy. It's been a really tough thing for us. I know it has for everybody, but even just making the decisions to right now to not train, that's sort of the very last thing we want to be doing when we feel like we have to be doing more, not less, to sort of catch up and do our best for the World Meet. And anyway, I know everybody's got their own stories and their own, sort of challenges right now. I appreciate you coming, joining me for this, and I hope you look out for future ones. Like I say, I think what we're going to do is Tuesdays and Thursdays starting next week. Thank you very much, everybody. Till next time.